Hello, welcome to my Patreon page. If you don't know what it is, just check the webpage www.patreon.com/ElisaYMK. I'll leave it in the description. So this is a first video, a video class, and what I'm doing here is that if you check on my page, there are many different pledges that you can give. And one of them is for people that want to get their artwork evaluated, so I can give a feedback on, give a real support. It's like a pretty much a class. So they are going to submit the artwork, or just send me the portfolio and I'll pick the most recent one. And they will, talk about themselves, talk about what they want to achieve, the problems that they are having, what they are struggling with in the art. So I'll try to help as much as I can and make classes out of it, so I can share it to the rest of the patrons, not Patreons. So okay, here is my first bait. She is Débora. Let me see her webpage here. Ta-da. And this is her website, her Tumblr, debsketches.tumblr.com. So it's pretty nice stuff. Cartoony, nice colors. She makes a lot of studies. Participating on Inktober, which I couldn't make it, but pretty cool. I'll leave the link in the descriptions, and you can also follow her stuffs. So I picked this image. Débora, my bait number one. So she also sent me her influence map. It was pretty nice of her. Ta-da. And I love all of these artists that she sent. They are also my big influence. Brittany Lee, Pascal Campion. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. So, but they're all awesome. And I can see that you're really going for cartoony, sharp, painting, kind of sketchy. So this is the kind of thing that I love to do. So I really hope I can help you with this. So I picked this illustration, this drawing, because I see that there are some improvements that can be done, and they're not as difficult as you can imagine. So one thing that all of these artists from your influence map have in common, not just about the cartoony style, even though it's cartoony, you can see that all the light, the environment, it's still very real, and they're applying all of their knowledge in about the traditional concepts of light, shadow, and colors into this style. So, for example, here, some artists, they work light, shadow, and color all together. They go and they put everything and block all the shapes and colors, and then they start, polishing. But if dealing with colors, dealing with all this stuff all together requires a lot of training, and a bit of experience. So if you're new to all this, or if it's indeed difficult, you can just stick to the light and shadow concepts first, and then you think about color separately. You don't have to work on them all together. If you can, awesome, great, continue and continue practicing. If you're struggling, you don't have to try so hard to try to work with the three elements all together. You can work with light and shadow. They always come together. So practice this a lot and will make a huge difference. One thing that I wanted to show you, for example, right here. Let me go with something here. There's nothing to do. You have this huge shape. You can see that her whole head, it's very angular, you know, it stands out a lot. So it has a big coverage. So what happens is that if there is no specific source of light. So for example, if we decide that the light is coming from the top to bottom, so I'm going for the easy one, a very clear, so you can have an idea, so you can understand. For example, the light is coming from the top, and this is the only source. So all this area here, she makes this huge shadow. And she makes more shadow here, for example. Okay, and also her arms here. All this is making shadows to the body. So what we can do here, you see that there's a very small area here of shadow when you could make, for example, this whole area go a bit darker, you know, because there is the light is projecting, you know, some shadow on your own body. So here, this whole area should be more darker. Also here, because there are arms. And you could actually go this whole area if you want, but not with the same strength. And also here, from down below. It's terrible. Wait, it's gonna make sense soon. And as you can see, here in the hair part, you did put a nice shadow, you know, everything was fine. Even the tail of the cat behind her has a shadow, but you just didn't continue applying into the rest of the character. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the eyedropper just to continue with the consistency of the shadow here. And this was supposed to be here. What? Wait, here. Okay. I'm gonna select a smoother brush. Ta-da-da-da. You see, and you even put more depth into her arms and the rest of her body. So you really have more contrast to it. And get a little bit of this darker red from the dress. Keep the volume. Okay. And here, this same shadow you can apply here. It's coming down and now here for the skirt, this is what I'm going to do. It's from here and goes a bit down, so I can give you the volume. This area here has shadow just to give the whole depth, and here is lighter because it's getting direct light from the source, not from the top. So everything that is facing the sky, everything that is facing directly the light, you know, it's way lighter, you know, in the color here. Da-da-da-da. And this highlight that you did, it's nice. And then it goes down. And this you can use, you know, an airbrush just to make it smoother. And you can add a little more contrast here. I'll add a layer in multiply. Too dark. I always use very simple tools. Multiply, change the opacity, change the color, you know, Control U, and you can change the color of it here. More contrasty. And you can add another layer to make it lighter. Oh, too much. Again, the contrast. One thing you could have done in the skirt is give more shape to it. For example, as a character, here is an example. Here is her hair, no, I mean her head, you know, and the rest of the body. She has like these huge volumes, a very thin body, and the skirt kind of lost a little bit of, you know, personality. It just went like this and it was gone. And you gave so huge, you know, emphasized shape that you could have emphasized the skirt too, to follow the whole personality of it. You could leave it like this, and then it kind of goes down. Maybe you can't see her feet, maybe just a little bit here. I should know. And this would give a really nice shape. And here are the areas that gets darker, you know, are influenced with the whole light and shadow. Hope you can understand it. And here are the areas that are even lighter. Here not so much, because maybe just a little bit, because the body is covering it. And then here you fade a little bit this, so you can give more three-dimensionality, because every light, a very simple concept is that, for example, here is an object, you know, a circle here. Light comes directly here. Here is the floor. When the light comes here, it kind of bounces, you know, it hits the floor and comes back into the object. So following this example here, here is the direct light. Here is the shadow, and then you apply a tiny bit, not so much, a tiny bit of this light here. So you see that very bright shadow and the bouncing light. And then you have the projected shadow. If you keep in mind only this concept for light and shadow, it already helps you in many ways. So here I can do the same, something similar here. Yay. Yes, nice. Give this bigger area here. And well, right now seems like an apple. But it's okay, you're going to fix that later. So I'm adding the bouncing light. And now I'm going to smooth the edges of the shadow a little bit here. Because right now it's like too strong and too edgy. So I really need to smooth that out. Now wait, here, a little bit of contrast here, a little bit darker. Yep. Detail of the skirt. Here I exaggerated too much the shape, so I'm going to fix that a bit later. Here, you see I'm smoothing a little bit. And adding a little bit of shadow, you know, from the inner skirt. Just adding some lines is nice, just to give some more direction. And so it's good to have some element, some noise in a way to help you give the idea of the perspective. So, okay, here, just enough here. Narrow down and ta-da! Sorry. Here. Also here the whole shadow here. And not just the edges here, this whole area. Need some more volume. And if you haven't forgotten about it, here, the bouncing light. What you can do is bounce a little bit of this red into her hair, but in a very low opacity, you know, here. A little bit of her dress is coming back into her hair. And these are the small things that if you pay attention, it will make a huge difference in the final result. Okay. And then you take a a texture brush or whatever you use, just to fuse them a little bit together, because it already have a lot of noise in her hair, so you can just do a little bit too in the shadow, just so it feels like it's the same subject. Okay. And what I also like to do is put a little bit of highlight, just so it can pop out a little bit more. But just a little bit, not too much, because it can also change the whole material, you know, of the clothing. For example, I can't, if I go white in this dress, it will give a different kind of fabric, you know, more like leathery type. So if it's silk, it's not going to shine this way. So I'm going to, this is mostly observation. You have to see which fabric you want and how it's going to affect. So here in this tone, a little bit. Also here a little bit. And you can see here, we didn't apply the light into her sleeve, so I'm just doing it right now. A tiny bit here. Ta-da. Ta-da. So you can see the before and after here. And of course that from here it can be improved like much more. I'm just pointing out very basic things that it's good to always have in mind and apply it into your drawings. It doesn't matter if it's realistic, of course you have to keep this in mind, but even if it's stylized, cartoony, simplified, or whatever, you're still going to use these concepts. So later, if you're working on another kind of drawing and you have to simplify the shadows and the lights even more, at least you know why you're doing the way you are doing it, and not just because, you know, that's how it was given to you. So you know why right now it's like this, so you are in control now. You're doing it because it's your option. You decided it was going to be this way, and you can play around with it, you know, the sources of light, where the light's coming from, where it's not coming from. So keeping all this in mind will help you a lot in the future. Débora, I hope I helped you. And in this feedback, I kept it very simple because, as you told me, you didn't have this background, you know, to learn the basics of art. So what I suggest you is to focus a lot in light and shadow. And you can do this by just grabbing any kind of object and having a spotlight and putting in different angles, so you can see how the light is affecting this object, and you see where it goes, and try to understand the concepts that I just showed you. And we will only be for the better. If you want to redo the same drawing and apply, you know, in your own way, great. If you want to do a new drawing using these concepts and having a better understanding of light and shadow, I would love to see that too. And don't worry, I have other videos that I'm preparing that are only to talk about those specific concepts, light and shadow. I'm going to go deeper in it, not so much, you know, not in this kind of rushed version. But all of this is going to be in it, and to make things clearer for you. And now there is one thing that I would like to point out in the drawing. I don't usually do that because it's pretty much about style and everything else, but since we are going for the fundamentals, so I'd like to point that out. Here your drawing is an example that it doesn't matter if your drawing is 2D, it's always nice to understand how it can be three-dimensional. For example, here you can either do this kind of wireframing so you don't get lost and you know where do you want to put the volumes. So for example here, yay, and it's because here you can set the middle. See, and for example this nose here, in this angle you made it like a profile nose. If she was looking profile, then it would be like this, and then the chin. But since she moved a little bit, it also has to shift. Let me show you a better example here. Here, the middle. Jump. So in this space better. For example, your kind of nose, I would say that if I imagine this character turning, modeled and sculpted in a 3D, it would be like profile would be pretty much like this. Her hair here, her forehead, her nose going like this, her lips, and her chin going up front. It could be a bit bigger. Go ahead. Her earring and going like this. See? Always do this example. Always do this exercise when you create a character. You don't have to do like the whole model sheet kind of thing, but at least try to understand the shapes that you're drawing. So here you did the eyes. So this in a profile angle is exactly the same nose when she was in half turn. So what you had to do is whenever you turn her, here is the half of the face. He would go down a little bit, depending on the angle that you're looking at her. Now a bit more like this. Here her head is a bit of like raised, so her nose doesn't go that. It depends pretty much the angle of your face, like this or like this. In her case, it's like middle. She's looking, up. But it's always good to align everything. So let's go for a closer look. And I got it wrong too. So here, let's find the middle of this face. So we have here, between the two eyes, the nose, the tip comes here, forehead. You can make it go out a little bit if you want. Okay, and here you go. And here is her new nose. And then you can continue here, the rest of the half of the face. You can keep this, and that's pretty much it for now. Okay. I'm gonna leave you the PSD so you can have access and take a look. Oh wait, let me link everything here. Whenever you're doing this exercise, try to connect everything. And then you have a better understanding of this whole exercise. The middle here, and zoom. Let me erase the other noises here. Hope this can help. But let me warn you, don't get too paranoid about the whole finding the middle, you know, 3D, the wireframing. This is good right now. If you're not used to doing this kind of exercise and you practice a lot to the point that you don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's good just to keep in mind. And after in your drawings, you don't have to go so deep into like how perfect it is. It will start to get too rational. So practice right now, and later when you're doing your 2D illustrations and drawings, just use it as a base, but not as a rule. And good luck. So this was the first class, I would say. And I'm sorry if it's kind of rough and all stumbling. I'm still getting the hang of it. So it will get better. I have more drawings to check and more feedbacks to give. So if you wanna follow up, go to Patreon, contribute with any value you want. This video and the next ones that has classes, they are going to be for the people that are supporting me with any value here in Patreon. Okay, so subscribe to the channel, look at Patreon, see if you can contribute. All this money is going to animal shelters, and so far I'm not getting any profit out of it. But if you continue supporting me and we reach the goals, for me to continue giving all these classes and information, so yay, I might have a new job. So help me. Any is like, if it's $1, it's already a huge deal for me. So thank you for attention and see you next.